Thank you for staying with us and welcome to the second half of TVC Breakfast this Wednesday. Well, more than ever before, many Nigerians are debating the necessity or otherwise of rotating the position of the president from one part of the country to the other. These agitations have created a division between the northern governors and their southern counterparts. Recall that George Akume urged northern political leaders preparing to run for the 2027 presidency to put aside their ambitions and wait until 2031 when President Bola Tinubu would have finished his second term. And this sparked reactions from many Nigerians, including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who said that power to decide who will occupy the office of President of Nigeria in 2027 ultimately rests with the Nigerian people. Well, let's talk about this and other related matters now. Bringing on board TV host and columnist Sam Omatseye. Welcome back, Super Sam. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
All right, and I remember that we have also spoken, you've also, spoken to this matter of whether Nigeria is indeed ready for rotational presidency at the time, about 2 months ago. But now lawmakers have even rejected that bill, seeking a 6-year single term for the office of the president and the governor, and even the issue of rotational presidency. Let's start off with that, what you make of that. The lawmakers have had their say, even though the bill came from one of them, or from a sizable chunk of one of them.
I think that the whole issue tends to ignore the big elephant in the room. It is that some people are not just happy that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the president. So they are looking for ways to try to tweak things so that the man does not have his 8 years in power. I think that there's a lot of hypocrisy in this discussion. When you are in power, you don't want rotation. You believe in rotation. When you are not in power, you don't believe in rotation. And I think Atiku Abubakar is actually the man who pursues this. Remember that in the last primaries with the PDP, he made a point himself with the former governor of Sokoto, Aminu Tambuwal, that the idea of bringing the presidency to the south should not be automatic. And that was a response to something that happened with the southern governors who met in Asaba. Right. They met in Asaba, and the discussion, they made the resolution, they signed the resolution. Right. And the host was Ifeanyi Okowa, the then governor of Delta State. They signed a resolution that, and this was bipartisan, both PDP and APC, that the presidency should move south in the dispensation that we are in now. But after signing the whole resolution, who broke faith? It was Ifeanyi Okowa, out of ambition, because he wanted to be vice president, to Atiku Abubakar. And again, when the primaries of the PDP was going on, Nyesom Wike was on the cusp of winning the PDP primaries until Tambuwal decided that they were going to hand over his own followers to Atiku, which was seen as rigging the process for a northern PDP candidate. And the argument there was that you should leave it to the people. You should leave it to the people. So that was neither here nor there. Well, they left it to the people decided that Asiwaju should be president. Now there is anger by some people who do not want to do it. But you must understand where Atiku Abubakar is coming from. Atiku Abubakar is coming from the position that he doesn't want to homogenize the system. He wants to hegemonize the system. In other words, he wants an hegemonic system. And he's not concerned about the time the North has spent there, but because he's running out of time. because the man is running out of time, and time we're running out of town.
When you say it's running out of time,
it's running out of time because he believes that 2027 will be like 82 years old. And if it waits to 2031, that will be 86. So many people are already waving, I could use the language of Clark at the departure lounge.
So he feels that it will be late for him to become the president at the time. So
yes.
he has to stoke the emotions in the people.
What he's trying to do is trying to navigate the discussion towards accepting the fact that he wants to be president. Remember that even this, what is going on now, what they call the League of Northern Democrats, it's actually, as I said in my column, the League of Atiku Democrats. There is the convener, is an Atiku man. One Dr. Ado, was his aide as vice president. And the chairman is Shekarau, who dumped Kwankwaso to go and join him, and they became bedfellows, but the bed sank on them. Yeah? You know, they say that when two elephants fight, the grass suffers. But even worse, when two elephants make love, the grass is more toxic.
But where do you see this all going? Where do you see this all going? How it's not a worry do you think it's not a worry at all for example, now the Tinubu presidency, because we've seen some form of, semblance of it with the tax reform controversy, and now we are also looking at this. Some would even say 2027 is like 2 years or thereabout, but here we are, talking about this. Do you see this as a formidable threat? This is the first time in this republic that before the president is sworn in, they started thinking about and actually plotting in the open for 4 years re-election or election. This is the first time. That was the bitterness, the sewer of pain that has really eaten into the opposition. So all of these are part of the arguments that want him to not be there. But Atiku's own is that he wants to make sure that it's for the North. Because he sees himself as the Northern Star. He sees himself, rightly or wrongly, as the Northern Star. Remember in the last election, he went to the Arewa group and he said that, the Arewa group should vote only for him because he's their son. And that the other candidates are from the South. And that they should not vote for them. He's an hegemonist. He's an ethnic promoter, when in any sense of it, and is unapologetic about it. He says it all the time. So there's no need to be given to quibbling about where Atiku stands about it. It is not about Atiku. If Atiku says that, he made an argument. He said the North is 6 years behind. Which shows that the man does not know. In mathematics, they always talk about going to the root of the matter. If you are going to look at it, go to from 1960. Tafawa Balewa was there up to 1966. Who took over? A Northerner in the military. It was Yakubu Gowon who took over till 1975. 1975, there was a coup. Who took over? Murtala Mohammed from Kano. He was assassinated. That was where it was only by accident that Obasanjo became head of state. But even then, he was surrounded by Kaba. You have people like Yaradua, Danjuma, all of them, they were around him. Decided for him what to do. Then he handed over to Shagari. After Shagari, there was a coup, Buhari. So we've seen it. So if we are going to look at all those years, then the South has a lot to do. But we're not supposed to run a democracy like that. We're supposed to look at the country as one cooperative unit, not competitive unit. But that is how people like Atiku are looking at it. And this is the kind of things that creates chaos in a republic, creates wars, it creates division, bitterness. That's what destroyed Yugoslavia.
All right, let's move away from Atiku now. How do you think the Nigerian public perceives this issue of rotational presidency?
I don't think we have done enough polling on rotational presidency. Mm. Whether it's rotational or it's not rotational, it's a matter of an elite decision. People have not been asked to decide whether we want rotation or not, except that you can say that during elections, the people vote in a certain way. Mm-hmm. And you can say that from what happened in the last election, that the people voted that they should come to the South. But that argument may be simplistic. It might be that it is the candidate who was able to make it come to the South because he made his own work. So we have not really made an argument or a research to really determine whether it is a consensus of the people. But we now see that we don't have a consensus among the elite. What happens is that when I'm not in power, I want it to rotate. When I'm in power, I don't want it to rotate. When I'm in power, I want it to rotate because rotation has favored me. When I'm not in power, I think the other way. Yes, right. It is a very funny thing, and it's interesting. It makes the politics very interesting, if you ask me.
So there's been this discussion about the 6-year, one-term presidency, and of course, you also mentioned for governors as well. So, is this a part of that kind of discussion as well?
Yeah, some people are not arguing for 6 years because of that. Some people are arguing for 6 years because of governance. They believe that when you are there for 4 years, you are not thinking of anything but how you get the next 4 years. So once you get the next 4 years, you're not going to govern anymore. I've already gotten what I want. All I'm trying to do now is play politics and eat as much as I can before I leave. But who says if I get 6 years, I won't start eating from the beginning? It's not about the rule. I've always said it, that just like the Bible says, circumcision, either circumcision or circumcision availeth. It said, but circumcise the foreskins of your heart. It is not the law that is important, but the spirit of the law. It is the attitude to our institutions. Because institutionalism is one thing. The political scientists talk about institutionalism and rational choice. Now, the point is, institutionalism means that you believe in the rules and the institutions and all of that. But if you cannot, if you don't have the spirit of patriotism, you don't have the spirit of togetherness, of cooperative elan in the society, you are going to get to a situation where people manipulate the institutions and manipulate the spirit.
even with a single term, if it does become a constitutional matter, that
yes.
Even with a single term, it's still prone to...
It's prone to manipulation. Anything is more to manipulation. We tend to be too concerned about systems rather than spirit. Right. Yes, if we are concerned about systems, we will manipulate the systems. It is the human beings that are more important than systems. Human beings are more important than laws. Laws are good, but human beings are more important than laws. They say the law was made for man, but the law was made for man, not man for the law. So we have to use the law, and we have to use the law. But who uses the law? That's the important thing.
All right, we'll talk some more with Sam Omatseye when we return from this break. Stay with us.
It's that special time of the year again, a moment to honor a distinguished leader and gentleman. The new associates cordially invites you to the birthday public lecture in honor of His Excellency Nyesom Ezenwo-Wike, CON, GSSRS, Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT Abuja. Lecture topic: Pragmatic Strides of a Visionary Leader and Contemporary Issues of Society, and the unveiling of Footprints of Nyesom Ezenwo-Wike, Chairman of the occasion, Chairman, OCJ Okocha SAN. Guest lecturer, Professor Julius Ihovere. Special guest of honor, Senator Godswill Akpabio, Senate President. Date is Friday, 13th December 2024. Time 10 a.m. Venue, EUI Center, Sani Abacha Road, GRA Port Harcourt. Join us in celebrating the achievements and contributions of a visionary leader. Signed, Senator Chief George Thompson Sekibo, Chief Victor Giadom, Chief Dr. Alabo Dakurinima George Kelly, and Engineer Chief Emeka Woke.
At break time, when my champ needs to keep going, he's going to need his favorite snack, containing calcium, iron, and fiber.
Milo Energy Snacks, snack of future champions. Milo!
All right, thanks a lot for staying with us on TVC Breakfast. We've been speaking about this clamor for a rotational presidency in some quarters. Well, that has been, rejected at the House of Representatives. But then many eyes are slowly and gradually panning out regarding how or who emerges president in 2027 or who should emerge president come 2027. With us to help make sense of all the controversies is TV host and columnist Sam Omatseye, and he's been, speaking on these matters. And some people have even also said that this issue of whether rotational presidency should become constitutional will be antithetical, so to speak, to democracy, because democracy is all about numbers. Whoever wants to become president should learn the art of negotiation. If you don't have the numbers from where you stand in your zone, reach out. Yeah, this is the time for you to reach out to people in other zones. And, so for someone to say, it is my turn, or I am your own, vote for me, what happens to, people from the other side? The other side.
Yes, it is one of the issues of our democracy. Sometimes we look at it in a regional sense. So some people look at it in an ethnic sense. We have about 250 ethnic groups. If we are trying to do rotation on that basis, when an Afemai person becomes president, then before an Afemai person becomes president again, it will be maybe 2 centuries later. Or if we look at it in a regional sense, which is what we are looking at right now. If we look at it in a regional sense, then we should decide how that works. But it doesn't seem that we are ready for that kind of conversation. We're having the conversation because we are not having the conversation. In other words, I don't know whether that makes sense. We're having the conversation because we are not having the conversation. Issues. Because the real conversation is for us to convoke a conference, a national conference, to say, this is how we are going to do it. But even that is going to be difficult to arrive at. So what we have is convention. Our conventions are important in democracy. Conventions help to create consensus among the people, among the elites, showing that we are one. We don't need to write this in laws before we do it. That's what happens in the UK. That's what happened in the US. I mean, there was one time that Clinton and Al Gore became president and vice president. Both of them from the South. That's Clinton from Arkansas, I think Al Gore from Tennessee. And nobody battled with that. In fact, many of them said, it looks like we are bringing the South back into power. It is a sense that, we believe that we belong to the same union. But America is different because America is not regionally ethnic. It is diffuse. They are the same people with different subcultures, different ways of life, but they don't see themselves as ethnic groups, as nations within a nation, as we see here. In the UK, you have different ethnic groups and so on, and these things come to play too at the end of it, but they have a way of working together, their systems, and they don't have a constitution. That's why I say it is not about whether you have a constitution or you have a law. It's whether you want to live together. If you want to live together, everything will be okay. like the issue of the tax bill. It is not about, it's not actually about whether one region wants to get it over another region. If they bring a proposal to you, you will say, okay, this is where we don't agree with you. Let us have conversation. But don't come and say, throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's bad faith. Or that's entitlement. Numbers are important, but numbers are not everything about democracy. And numbers are important, not everything about democracy. We have seen that because you can have coalitions, and coalitions sometimes can beat a majority. It has happened many times. It has happened in this country. So we should be careful when we discuss these matters. We should know that we have to decide whether our loyalty is to the nation or our loyalty is to the group. You come from a group, and so when you go to the center, you go with the faith that you are going to have a conversation and not an imposition. When you go with a sense of entitlement, you are destroying any basis of conversation. Like a man like Ndumel says, I've not read the tax bill, and I don't want to read the tax bill. That is irresponsible. You have to decide that, okay, I want to have a conversation. That is what elders do. Elders don't come to the table and say, I hate that man, and I'm not going, like somebody said, he said, I will never reconcile with him in this world, nor in the world to come. How are you sure I'm going to be in the world to come in the first place?
All right, so you mentioned something about integrity, and many people have said that rotational presidency can ensure that leaders are chosen based on merit, based on competence, and based on integrity. Do you subscribe to that?
There are competent people everywhere. You have many competent people in the north. You have competent people in the south.
And perhaps that's what they're asking, that if rotational presidency is entrenched, this will happen. You will be able to choose people that are really competent.
Choose your best.
Yes.
Yes. There's no contradiction between meritocracy and a rotational presidency. There's no contradiction because you can always have the good. There's this guy who wrote The Tyranny of Merit, who says that sometimes merit is overblown. There's a point to that society is not always based on merit. The best people are not always those that lead. Like what they say in the Bible, that the race is not for the swift, nor the battle for the strong, but it's favor. Time and chance makers. I said, Paul said, he said, "No, you know that he that runneth a race run all, but one receiveth the prize." So you know that in the final analysis, many factors can lead to somebody winning or somebody losing. The point is not about winning or losing. It's to make sure that all of us win, whether you lose or win. Like the poet Kipling said, meeting triumph and disaster and treating both impostors just the same. So whether you win or lose is an imposture. The point is that we are all human beings living God. But you know, power and power mongers don't think that way. It's either you win, like this man said, the coach in the U.S., Vince Lombardi, Green Bay Packers, he said, winning is everything. Well, and then some people believe that the thing about life is not about the power of justice, but the justice of power. That is what rules the world. But that is another matter.
Right, but we may as well, you know, if you look at it now, all these matters may eventually have some, you know, relation, so to speak. Also, when you look at our neighboring country, one of the closest, Ghana, in the wake of their just concluded presidential election, we also how it panned out, the vice president and candidates reaching out even before the Electoral Commission announced, you know, the winner. That's, John Dramani Mahama is coming back. He had already reached out and done the needful. Of course, Goodluck Jonathan did the same, you know, in Nigeria. But in terms of, as you say, or as I paraphrase from what you've said, the dust is yet to settle since the Tinubu presidency became a reality for many. The dust is yet to settle. People are still, there are still, you know, people who have not yet accepted and are already looking at the next big thing after now. How much of, you know, a setback is it for us as a country?
It's a lot of setback that we have a very toxic political atmosphere. It's really toxic. It hasn't been as toxic as this since, I know, since, let's say, the pre-Civil War atmosphere in Nigerian politics. I don't think it has been as toxic as this. There was no time when people started calling for the soldiers to come in. I mean, when people pay urchins and children who don't know the meaning of military rule, you ask them what military rule is, they don't know it. They have never read any book to know anything about military rule, and you tell them to go back, to go to the street and protest. You said they are going to protest for hunger. The people who said they are protesting for hunger and they don't buy anything in the market, they don't have money in their pockets, they actually don't use money except when it gets to them and somebody gives it to them. They don't buy, they don't sell, they don't pay rent, they don't pay school fees. They are not really part of the economy. It's a feudal atmosphere that they have been roped into in the 21st century. And you ask them to go and protest about the economy of which they are not a part of. So you understand that this is a toxic thing being engineered by people who know nothing about what is going on in this country, and engineered by people, who have interest in destabilizing the system because they don't like the way the things are running.
How easy will it be coming out of where we have found ourselves?
It's not going to be easy. It is something that we have to keep plugging away at, because it is a very toxic atmosphere. You can hear people like Atiku try to stoke the flame, people like Zoom try to stoke the flame, people like Ndume trying to stoke the flame. This kind of attitudes will not help create a cooperative atmosphere. If somebody in the South is in power, what is expected is supposed to be for 8 years. I mean, you are saying that Buhari was there for 8 years. When Buhari was there, he was supported by other regions. Buhari ran for presidency for 3 times. He couldn't make it because his appeal was regional. It was when he reached out across, or it was made to reach out across, that he was able to get it. So we have to understand that this is a nation where compromise and cooperation are important and should be privileged over insular interests. But once you try making it insular, it becomes toxic.
Unfortunately, that's the same situation we find ourselves, where a certain region wins election and other people who lost the election begin to stoke the flame of fire on the people. How can the people decipher the bad from all of these things and focus and give the government the impetus to do its job?
It's very difficult because you have to cut through. In the case of the President Tinubu, you know that, as I said in my speech at Cambridge, that we had 4 major political parties. And if you add the votes of the other 3, they were far more than the votes of the person who won. So you get a sense that the majority are actually the side that lost. And that is the nature of democracy. But democracy is about rules. So when you talk about numbers, you talk about democracy, it's about the people. It's about the people, it's about numbers, but it's also about rules. It happens not only here. It happens in ministerial, what they call Westminster systems, in France, in Israel. It happened even in presidential system. It happened in the presidential system in the U.S., where we've known twice it happened. It happened when Clinton won. Clinton fought against 2 people who were supposed to be Republicans who split, and so it got better of it. And it happens in democracies. If it happens in democracy, it happens in democracy. So they are given the impression that it is illegitimate. But this is what the rules are. They broke themselves into different parts, into different parts, and then they won. It's probably the fulfillment of what the Bible says that say your people, you're the enemies in Isaiah chapter 8, that they will be fighting and destroying each other.
All right. Time is not our friend on the program as usual, but we thank you very much for all your contributions on the program.
Thank you.
Sam Omatseye there with us in the flesh.